Hello crochet crafters. This is part 4 in the sheep pot holder series, 100% cotton. I won't go over the tools again because we stated those in part 1, but I am using a 4 or size E USA hook, 100% cotton, and sugar and cream yarn. So I've already done one ear. The pattern is the same, so you will be able to follow me. If we do one ear together, you will be able to sew both of the ears on and you will be in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and get the yarn on my hook, and I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3. My yarn's already given me a problem. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in that one, the first one next to the one you have your hook in, you're going to do a single crochet, and you're going to do that, follow that pattern all the way across. And if you get done before me, just make sure you have 6 stitches. So you can count that and say I have 6 stitches, or you don't, then do it again. So when you turn it around here, like that, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know you've done it right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and work my tail back into this next chain 1. I have to chain 1 after each row. If you want to try to work your tail in too, you can. But you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn it. And when you turn it, you're going to do a decrease stitch. And the way that you're going to do the decrease stitch is you're going to put your hook into the first back and front loop and pull it through. And then you're going to put your hook through the second back and front loop and pull it through. And you can count 1, 2, 3. Now this looks a little bunchy, but that's because I have my tail worked in. So it's 3 on the hook, wrapping it around and pulling it through. That's a decrease. So the next 2 stitches, you're just going to do a single again, a single, and that last 2, you're going to do a decrease. So you're going to pull it through, and then make sure you pick up that back and front loop, because sometimes it's hard if you first started crocheting, it's hard to realize that there's that back and front loop right there, and I'm using black yarn, so it's really hard for you to tell where that back and front loop is, but you want to make sure you get the back and front loop in the right place, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. I did it a little too tight for my own good. So that's a decrease. And remember to chain 1 and turn. Now you should have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. You're going to do a single crochet across in each one of those stitches. And you're going to count, make sure you just do 4. Chain 1 and turn. And do another 4, 1, just single crochets, making sure you're picking up both the back and the front loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 3rd row, another set of single crochets. Picking up 4. Okay, so once you've done that, chain. And what you want to go ahead and do is turn. And when you turn, you are going to make sure that you have actually not the way that you were working before. Actually, you're not going to turn, because when you chain 1, you're going to stay straight. I'm sorry, you're not going to turn, because I want to make sure that you're going to the side. You worked this way, and now we're going to work up the side. And the way we're going to do that is I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of this tail because I worked it into my work. It always confuses me when I have a lot of extra things there. So you're going to, in the first stitch, do a single crochet up. In the second stitch, and now you're working your way up the side of your work. This is no longer the stitch you were just doing. You're working up the side and you're working around. So now as you work around, the stitch will be familiar because it's the very bottom stitch that you did. Now you're probably wondering why we did 6 stitches up here and then decreased in 4, because at the top of the ear it's larger than the bottom of the ear. So when we're working that way, we did 6 and then we decreased and then we did 4 and 4 and 4, and then we took that corner and we worked around the back way, came up around where we started at the 6, and now you're going to go down the side. Again, if you can't find the stitch, it's not a perfect science. You know, when I first started crocheting and they asked me to work down the side stitches, I was like panicked and freaked out because I couldn't really find the side, and it does appear to be challenging at first, but you can get through it. So you just cut this like this, you pull this through, and you have, voila, you have a really nice little ear to sew on your, oh, sorry about that, to sew on. And when you sew it on, because I'm going to let you do this on your own, when you sew this ear on, you want to make sure you follow the stitches along here and you pull through, because I'm going to show you something. This back looks as beautiful as it does in the front because I went through properly and I stitched that ear up properly. And if you're going to sell your work, which I end up selling everything on my Lori's Handiwork on Etsy afterwards, I want to make sure that my work on the back looks as beautiful as the work on the front. So just be careful when you go through and you start using your needle, that you make sure, and I can show you just really quickly, you want to make sure that you count these and go through like this. I can probably just do some of that with you. If you want to go about your day, you can. If you want to stay with me, you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow it through here on the black and pull it through. And what I did, if you noticed, when I cut it off, I left some yarn at the end so that I could use it. If you didn't do that, that's okay. You can just add some yarn and sew it on. And the other thing I like to do is make sure when I come back through, I put it through the front and the back loop, making sure that this is secure. So it's pretty self-explanatory because this is a really straightforward sewing technique. And I can look around at the back and say, I stayed right where I needed to with that. And I can even double it if I want to. And I kept right in line with where I needed to be at all times so that I'm not going off onto the white. So for example, I'm not pulling through and leaving a big black piece of yarn on that white because I want the top to look as beautiful. And now I'm going to work my tail into my work. So you can pick a loop. I don't like that loop, so I'm going to pick another loop. And when you work it in, again, make sure it's worked into where it's not going to show, because that's the key. And if you don't work it back and forth and then down, when you put it in the wash, it will come unraveled. Now you can wash these are machine washable, but cotton shrinks, so I highly recommend you do not put it in the dryer, that you just let it lay flat to dry. And those are my little sheep ears. Join me on the next session so you'll learn how to make the feet and the eyes. Thanks.